te amorangi ki mua ko te hāpai o ki muri. Kia tawi hōna mana ki tanga ki runga ki tēnā o tātā. E hōnore he kororia he maungaro mo ki runga ki te matua te whenua. He whakaaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Arohaina ngā tainga me ngā tuakana e noho nei I rungi te whakaaro ko tahi pai mai.
Please be seated. E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā iwi o ngā hau e whā, tēnei ku mihi mahana ki o koutou, nau mai, hara mai, ki te whare nei, te whare o te kāwana tiarara, ki whanganui e tara. Distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Government House, Wellington, for today's investiture ceremony. I'd like to specifically acknowledge the Acting Commissioner, Joan McSkimming from New Zealand Police, Ms Rachel Hayward, Secretary of Cabinet and Clerk of the Executive Council, Mr Joe Harawira, our kaumātua, and Ms Puhi Wahine Tipple, our kuia. Tēnā koutou katoa. Hosting investiture ceremonies is one of the most important duties I perform on behalf of His Majesty, the King of New Zealand. I'm delighted to bring together such an extraordinary group of New Zealanders. You have each brought pride and a greater sense of well-being to Aotearoa New Zealand through your outstanding achievements and your service to our communities. On behalf of all New Zealanders, I extend my sincerest thanks to you for your contributions. After each recipient is honoured, I invite you to join with me in congratulating them. Ms Catriona McLeod will now summon the recipients and read their citations.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Dame Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dame Joan Withers of Papakura for services to business, governance and women. Dame Joan Withers is one of New Zealand's leading governance experts and a champion for women in business, with more than 20 years' experience in the media industry and numerous governance roles in significant New Zealand businesses. Dame Joan held senior roles in both newspaper and radio and was the chief executive of Fairfax New Zealand and the Radio Network of New Zealand. She has been a director and chairperson of numerous private and state sector companies. These have included chairing the Warehouse Group since 2016, chair of Mighty River Power, later Mercury, Auckland International Airport and TVNZ. She is former director of Meridian Energy and Counties Manukau District Health Board. She is currently director of Sky Network TV, ANZ New Zealand, and Origin Energy. She was a foundation member of Global Women and the 25% Group, which worked to achieve diversity of thought at senior management level and in New Zealand boardrooms. She co-founded On Being Bold, which convenes an annual event empowering women leaders, with a similar event provided freely to Year 13 girls. She's a trustee of the Louise Perkins Foundation and previously of the Royal New Zealand Ballet and Counties Manukau Pacific Trust. She chaired the steering group of Grow Our Own Workforce from 2009 until recently. Dame Joan is the author of A Girl's Guide to Business, 1998, and A Woman's Place, 2017. Dame Joan Withers, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mrs. Jenny Banfield of Paraparaumu for services to philately. Jenny Banfield was President of the New Zealand Philatelic Federation and Trustee and Convener of the New Zealand National Philatelic Trust. She is an accredited National Judge and National Philatelic Literature Judge. She was New Zealand Commissioner to the International Philatelic Federation and Federation of Inter-Asian Philately Exhibitions. She has represented New Zealand on technical committees and has been Secretary and Chairperson of the Maximaphilie Commission. She was previously involved with the Kapiti Gymnastics Club, holding roles as head coach and club president, and helping fundraise for the club's gymnasium. Mrs. Banfield coached and judged national-level gymnasts and was assistant judge at gymnastics at the 1990 Commonwealth Games. Mrs. Jenny Banfield, please come forward. Mr. Thomas Coy of Ko Kappa Kappa for services to the New Zealand Police, Disaster Victim Identification and Theatre. Thomas Coy worked for the Metropolitan Police in London and the New Zealand Police in Auckland in forensic roles. He has been a disaster victim identification expert at many events. He has been instrumental in the implementation of new finger palm print recovery techniques in New Zealand. His business, Forensic Insight Limited, provides the public insight into the crime scene investigation process. He has taught forensic science for the Ministry of Education and provided forensic exhibit courses for the Auckland District Law Society. Mr. Coyle has volunteered in Auckland's performing arts sector, co-managing Centre Stage Youth Theatre, judging the Northern Area Performance Theatre Awards, and stage managing several major theatre productions. Mr. Thomas Coyle, please come forward. Detective Nile Dehan of Paraparaumu for services to the New Zealand Police. Detective Nile Dehan has been involved with the Family Harm Intervention Team within New Zealand Police for more than 12 years. He was instrumental in developing the Family Liaison Officer FLO role within police. He has served as national coordinator of a nationwide team of FLOs. He's worked on numerous homicides and mass fatalities with the team, including the Whakaari White Island eruption, the Christchurch terrorist attacks, the Carterton balloon crash, and the 2023 Loafers Lodge fire. He provided ongoing support to families who lost loved ones to the MH17 plane crash. Detective Dehan served with New Scotland Yard's Racial and Violent Crime Task Force for several years. Detective Nile Dehan, please come forward. Inspector Freda Grace of Wellington for services to the New Zealand Police. Inspector Freda Grace has served 40 years with the New Zealand Police. She has supported women on specialist squads and developed several business cases to acquire safety equipment, including individualized night vision equipment for all Armed Offenders Squad AOS members. She's established the Critical Incident Liaison Officer program to provide support to AOS members who've responded to traumatic incidents, implementing sponsorship to ensure its future success. She's led the subsequent reintegration program, which slowly reintroduces staff to work situations they may encounter following exposure to traumatic incidents. Inspector Grace helped coordinate fundraising efforts for a sergeant who required $100,000 for life-saving surgery in Germany. Inspector Freda Grace, please come forward. Mrs. Katherine Petri of Lower Hutt for services to the New Zealand Police, Arms Control and the community. Katherine Petri worked in the agricultural and fisheries sectors of New Zealand, Australia and Papua New Guinea and has held several senior policy roles with New Zealand Police. She provided advice to ministers of police and the government for amendments to the Arms Act 1983 to improve the safety of New Zealanders and frontline police officers. Following the 2019 Masjidain terror attack in Christchurch, she and her team enabled the enactment of reformed firearms legislation to prohibit military-style semi-automatic firearms 26 days afterwards. She helped to establish the Independent Police Conduct Authority. Within the community, Mrs. Petri has volunteered more than 35 years to dog training organisations. Mrs. Katherine Petri, please come forward. Detective Inspector Lewis Warner of Tauranga for services to the New Zealand Police and the community. Detective Inspector Lewis Warner has been a member of the New Zealand Police since 1983. He is the District Crime Manager for Bay of Plenty, leading dozens of serious investigations. As District Manager of the Child Protection Teams, he's worked with Oranga Tamariki, Ministry of Health and Crown Prosecutors. He was officer in charge of workplace assessment teams, leading probation constables in the Bay of Plenty and training police staff. He was officer in charge of the Tauranga Police Station, where he worked with the Merivale Community Centre, Blue Light, Community Patrols and iwi. Detective Inspector Warner was the officer in charge of the adult sexual assault teams. Detective Inspector Lewis Warner, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the King's Service Medal, Mrs. Marie Bennett of Dunedin, for services to seniors. Marie Bennett has been an elder abuse response social worker for Age Concern Otago for 30 years and leads a multidisciplinary team providing these services. She's recognised as a pioneer in this area of social work. She's been committed to raising awareness of elder abuse, advocating for the rights of older people, and educating communities on the detection of elder abuse. She has developed several practice guidelines for the sector. Mrs. Bennett helped establish the Otago Welfare Guardian Trust, the first in the country, which has been used as a model in other cities. Mrs. Marie Bennett, please come forward. Mrs. Pat Carrick Clark of Nelson for services to sport, particularly cricket. Pat Carrick Clark joined the Sydenham Cricket Club in 1975. She captained Canterbury to successes for several years. She was the first woman globally to umpire a men's first-class cricket match. She was committee member, treasurer and vice president with Sydenham and delegate to the Canterbury Cricket Association. She was a member of the Canterbury Women's Cricket Association. She was a player, representative teams coach, and board member for Canterbury Netball. She coached Tasman and Nelson representative teams and was treasurer on the committee of the Nelson Netball Association. Mrs. Carrick Clark is executive officer of Bowls, Nelson. Mrs. Pat Carrick Clark, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture has concluded.
New Zealand's honours system is our highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces those things that make our society better: service, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of excellence. To our recipients, it has been a privilege to hear your stories. You have each used your talents and abilities to improve the lives of fellow New Zealanders. In doing so, you embody the sentiment expressed by American writer Joseph Campbell when he said, "One way or another, we all have to find what best fosters the flowering of our humanity in this life and dedicate our lives to that." I urge recipients to wear your insignia with pride at every opportunity knowing that you inspire others by your example. On behalf of the King of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements, and I thank you once again for your service to our country. Kia ora, uhohi mai nei I tēnei rā. Now you will see on the back of your program the words to the national anthem in Te Reo Māori and in English. I now invite you to stand with me and join in singing these.